Well, it began in 1997. At that point, I was chairman of the English department. And I was in my office, and I got a call from Joachim Schultz, who was the provost, and said, would I come over to the president's office? He wanted me to meet the new chairman of the board of governors, visitors and governors, Jay Griswold. And he said he's pretty animated, and he's very enthusiastic and all kind of sub-rosy. He said, you don't really have to do anything, but just come over here. So I did, and Jay announced that he was all fired up about something he discovered in North Yorkshire, that there was a building called Kiplin Hall, and it was the home of the Calvert family, who founded Maryland as a colony. Since Washington College was a historic college, he thought there was a natural affinity between the two of them, and could something be done? Well, I about levitated, because back in 1970, when my wife Barbara and I were graduate students, we served as an assistant to a senior professor at Bowling Green University, where we were students. He needed two people to help guide a course and a summer school experience in the Lake District, and anyway, we were part of it. And when we got to the Lake District, we were totally charmed. I mean, it wasn't because of the scholars, although they were very, very reputable, certainly, and in other respects, kind of awe-inspiring. But it was the landscape that was just beautiful, and it was an unusually dry period. And so the brightness of the sun and the mists in the morning from the existing water made it paradisal, and we were charmed. And we did something which was probably not a very politically astute thing to do. We cut class one day. They had two lectures a day, and there was a fellow from Oxford who was kind of daring us, let's go hiking. And so we gave in, of course, and went up hiking into the mountains behind Wordsworth's house. And when we got up there, it was just breathtaking. And we kind of chuckled, and he said, both of us had ambitions to be teachers. And we said, this would be such a great place to bring students in the future. So, bingo, when Jay announced that they had this place in Yorkshire, I knew enough about geography that Yorkshire and the Lake District are reasonably close. So I thought, okay, we'll put together a program. I went home, I told Barbara, and anybody who knows Barbara would remember that once she got enthusiastic about something, it was going to get done. And my daughters were at the college at the time, and so we knew a good number of the students from their classes. And Barbara got on the telephone, and she was calling people. And in a short period of time, we had, I think it was 10 students, maybe 12. I don't remember that part right now. But in any case, we were ready to roll. Jay thought that being an academic program, it would take about 2 years to get going. And we had it going in about 2 months. Anyway, that was the beginning of the program. And it went on for 20 years. But no, we hiked every day, and we did a number of the higher mountains in England. Now, the higher mountains in England, it's not like the higher mountains in the Rockies, but after 8 or 9 hours of hiking, you would know that you've had a day out, and we made that part of the deal. The weather, of course, in England is always variable. And so we said, we're not going to wait for good weather. We'd never get out of the house if we were sure of, a really good day. So we would be ready, and we had days where we would be really soaked and wind buffeted, shall we say. And it was that kind of thing that I think helped create bonds, because after enduring, a miserable slog through a rainstorm, climbing a 4,000-foot mountain, you had something in common. We stayed in the Kiplin Hall campus. It's surrounded by a stone wall. It's probably about 100 acres, roughly, and the paddock and coach house that was built probably in the 18th century. That was converted into a dormitory. So we had on-site living. We did our own cooking. Barbara would assign 4 people at a time to help her with the evening meal, and the other meals that was on the students to put together if they wanted lunch or didn't want lunch, or breakfast. Well, the University of Maryland established a rental. They have a lease with the Board of Trustees at Kiplin Hall, and pardon me, University of Maryland was using it, and up till very recently using it for their School of Architecture students. They would go there during the winter, have classes, live on campus, and David Fogel, who was a very dynamic leader at the University of Maryland and was the dean of the School of Architecture at one point, he invited us. I don't know how he got our contact, probably through Jay, maybe. But anyway, he got a contact. He contacted me, and we got talking and said, we would love to sublet, and that's what we did. So it has been a long, good relationship, actually. I'm having a wonderful time. I'm back to teaching. I'm teaching one course only, and it's a course on Irish film. And what we're doing is looking at the way in which we see how film reflects identity, and how through film different forms of identity get established. And again, right now we're into week 3, and I love it. I really do. I got 20 students who are very active and eager, so I can't ask for anything more.